I'm Anthony Witter, 23 years old. I came into Acorn treatment back in October following a 3-week methadone detox at Smithfields. Before that I'd been involved with other services. Started out in a youth service called Mosaic in the Stockport area. I had a worker there called Karen Whitehead. She was absolutely fantastic, you know, she really helped me throughout my journey. I attended RAMP in Stockport as well. My worker there was Lizzie Ward. I'd known her previously from 12-step fellowships. I'd been around the rooms of AA, NA, etc. for a couple of years. Really sort of struggling to try and get clean, and she helped me to look at myself, helped me to look at my behaviours and the impact that my addiction was having on other people. 12-week primary programme that was sort of like, you know, intensive group counselling, and sat in a group of people looking at yourself, looking at your addiction, your behaviours, your consequences, and the impact that has on your family and the wider community. There's a knock-on effect to addiction, and I didn't want to look at that. It was quite painful to look at that. But, you know, looking at that stuff was sort of the start of my recovery process. It's a million miles away from where I was sort of 6 months ago. I'd been evicted from 3 houses in a year. Couldn't bring myself to be around my family because of the pain I was causing them. You know, and it's not like that today. I can be around my family, you know, and I'm actually there, I'm actually present. Got a good relationship with my mum, and for me that's the best gift anyone could give me, because throughout sort of my whole life I've struggled to feel close to my mum, and I do today. I'd say thank you for everything she's done and for standing by me, and you know, I'd say sorry for the way I treated her and the impact my consequences had on her and my brothers and sisters and my nana and all the people who were there for me. And, you know, I think the main message what I get across to my mum is that I really do love her. The way I am is completely different. I'm looking to volunteer at the moment. I've actually got an interview at Mosaic this afternoon to go back and peer mentor there. And that's where it's at for me, you know, I'm still quite young. And I want to get involved with the youth and sort of show them, you know, maybe you don't have to go as far as I did with my addiction. You can get off when you decide you want to get off. I had a really good group, and they helped me to sort of smash through my denial, because I think that's one of the main characteristics of addiction, you know. I was so wrapped up in denial, didn't want to look at myself, I'd avoid it in any way. It was always someone else's fault. They showed me in quite a loving way that actually that wasn't the case, and these consequences were of my own making, and not only were they of my own making, but they had an adverse effect on other people as well. You know, to look at my part in things, to look at what I did, and to honestly go to those places that I thought I'd never go, because it was just so raw, without a substance, and to get through that with the help and support of other people. It was a beautiful experience. It's not something that's just ended there. There's been times when I've been back into full Stonehouse. Andrew Toto's always had the time of day for me, and he's always been there to give me some guidance. These people care about my recovery, and they care about me, and that's probably the best thing I've ever had.
My name's David Yoxall. I came into Acorn treatment on the 2nd of December. I knew I had to do something. I came into primary and I worked through a lot of issues. It was really hard work, but so rewarding. I'm now volunteering at the cafe in Brunswick House in Oldham, which I really enjoy. It's good to be doing something of a practical nature again after 5 months of intense treatment. Long term, I'm looking to give something back into the recovery network. You know, I was given so much by so many people. I wouldn't be here without everyone's help. We're just on our way to Castleshaw now, which is my secondary home that I share with 2 other clients. The house is really nice, really well kept. It's nice to be living with 2 peers, so you've always got someone there who you can talk to, who you can share with, who understands what you've been through and where you've come from. I started drinking, progressed on to cannabis. Then when I started working, I started going out on the club scene. That's where I was introduced to ecstasy. It got to the stage where those really weren't working for me, they weren't doing anything. And a friend introduced me to heroin one day, and that just took all my problems away, took all the pain away. That took hold of my life, it took hold of my soul. It's destroyed everything around me. The world just evaporated around me. Nothing else mattered anymore. And it took me on the streets a few times, taking me to some really, really dark places. But my family, it took them to even darker places because I was living it, but I was oblivious to most of it. I didn't understand about the mental obsession. I self-harmed, I cut my face up pretty badly, and I went into a voluntary section for 28 days. I'd heard a few people mention Acorn before, and I rang up and I spoke to Lucy, and I came up, had a look round, thought it was brilliant, so went back to CRI and we said, yeah, this is where I want to be. Unfortunately, it took 12 months of having to beg and 12 months of hard work to get me in here. And unfortunately, I overdosed 6 weeks before I came in here. All that help and all that effort going in, and I could have just thrown it all away. It's not about the drink and the drugs today. It's about having this peace, serenity, having a quiet mind when I go to sleep for the first time in 36 years. It's just given me more than I ever could have dreamed of.
I come from Manchester originally. I come from streets of Manchester, using drugs, class A's, since the age of 16, chaotic. At first it started with big issue, begging, then it scaled to theft and burglaries, and then it went to street robbing and just doing anything I could necessary to get money and to feed me drug habit.
I'd say I was about 11 when I first, had a drink, and I didn't see that as a problem then, obviously. I was about 16, started committing offences for my drugs.
It kind of went on for a lot of years till I realised that I'm going to end up dead here, because I remember catching tuberculosis, pneumonia and Hep C in one hit.
I just find myself not being able to stop using, not wanting to stop either. It was my escape. I pushed all my family away. I weren't there for my daughter. It kind of took control of my life, really.
He genuinely didn't think people would like him. And he said, I think they're looking at me thinking, look at him, prisoner, this, that. It was all negative stuff.
I'd got charged with a manslaughter and robbery at an early age when I was 16.
He did one piece of work that stood out, and it was a grief letter he'd written to a victim.
I'd not really owned all my part until I kind of got to that grief letter.
Well, I'll be honest, I was surprised how deep he went with it and the amount of effort he'd put into that letter.
Saw the reality of it and being brutally honest. I put myself in his parents' shoes, the loss, and the pain, and it shook me, it knocked me for six, it was like anguish.
I think it rocked him.
I thought, you know what, it's not going to get resolved over a few days, do you know what I mean? It's going to take a long time.
It changed something for him. There was a shift inside him.
I remember when I first went into group and he turned round and he went, do you know what, deal with this, meaning my issues with my past and my issues with my wife. I was like, I can't do that, but Simon kind of poked about a little bit and said, it's either that or go back out there, Pete, you've just been out there for 3 years, what are you going to do about your problem? You're going to die.
There was something in Peter that told me that he really wanted to be clean and sober, he really wanted to be well, that he knew what his block was and that he knew where he had to go, but the fear that he had around it was still as strong as it's ever been.
Peter come and he approached me once, and he was quite worried about his future, that he'd never amount to anything, he'd never be able to get to anywhere. And I have a colleague who works with another project called Very Rough Sleepers, and Peter volunteers there. He's been a great help to him, and the colleagues he works with are really happy with Peter, and I'm really happy with Peter too.
I didn't want to sit in an office and I didn't want to do paperwork, so I decided I wanted to go out on the streets and help the homeless, so I joined up with Very Rough Sleepers unit. I can turn round to him pretty confidently when they tell me they've got a problem and say, I get you, I've lived on the streets, I've been in jail, I've committed crime, I've got mental problems. I can confidently help him.
It got to the point where I was relieved to go into jail. And it was just my way of life. I just had enough and I needed out.
I fought through it, I threw a lot of tears out in group and Looked at a lot of scary issues that scared me. I got through it, don't get me wrong, it's still not proper dealt with, it's still a massive issue in my head, but it doesn't have the power to make me use no more, that's the difference.
The liberation in him and the freedom that he got from giving voice to the very thing that he thought he could never speak about, and the transition in him from that point onward was massive.
Done a lot of bad things to my mum, robbed her, hurt her, called her, hated a boyfriend, done a lot of not caring for anyone. And she's always been there, she's never turned her back, she's stood by me every bit of the way, and I love her with all my heart.
Constant in Peter's life has always been his mother. Regardless of what's gone on, she's always stood by him. And I know that she's got a big place in Peter's heart, because one thing about Peter is he has got a massive heart.
I saw the Carrots in prison. They help people with, you know, the drug problem. They got in touch with me, with a local service, which is Horizon in Blackpool. Started that process off of getting a visit in prison, which I was really grateful for, because it's not a nice place to come and visit a jail.
And I tried to convince him that you are worth it, regardless of where you're from, what you think of yourself. You're worth it, we're going to give you that support, we're here for you. And I think sometimes that is enough to carry some people.
Coming to the end of my secondary, my daughter phoned me up. She thought I was in jail, you know, bless her. We started a relationship, you know, father-daughter relationship, brilliant. But it's slow, so it's a case of nice one, my daughter. She's got a dad, she's getting her dad back in her life, and that's the result.
There's been some massive people that's helped me in my life, really big. One of the biggest being my mum. There's another person, Jackie Emre, she's my drug worker, she's been with me since the age of 17. She's put massive amounts of effort into me. She's pretty paramount in getting me to where I'm at. If she wasn't there, I wouldn't be here.
Primary treatment was where the foundation of my recovery was built, and I couldn't have done it without Andrew, Toto and Mark. They taught me that it's okay to love and be loved.
And the counsellors at ACOM, I've done various treatments, but the only significant counsellors that have helped me along massively has been Tam Sweeney and Simon Cavella. It made me realise that me walking away from a very long relationship, an entrenched, destructive, abusive relationship would help me, the children and her to heal. I'm not hurting the ex-wife and the kids no more.
Thank everyone who's given direction, support.
First of all, I've got to thank my mum and my sister for their unconditional love and support through the nightmare that's been my addiction.
Pat Conway was a massive part of my journey. Pat is an absolutely brilliant man, and you know, I remember going over to Star on the bus in the mornings, and some of the chats we'd have just about sort of like the programme and recovery, and got a lot of knowledge from Pat. He's got a lot of experience, you know, he's like 23 years sober, that's my whole life.
Darren Brooks, he's helped a lot. The housing team in Acorn, the admin staff who come into the prisons.
Say a big thank you to Stoke-on-Trent Council for the funding, but mainly to Michelle and CRI for getting me here.
A lot of thanks goes out to John Platt for the way the programme is set out, and Andrew Darby. I had some really trying times throughout my treatment process. It wasn't always sort of easy, but the people, you know, the staff and my peers throughout treatment were there to sort of help me through that stuff.
I'm looking at voluntary positions now. It's suggested, you know, go to the meetings and that, and I enjoy the meetings and that, and I've got a sponsor and I'm working with him, and you know, so it's kind of like just one day at a time.
So I just want to say thank you to Acorn as a whole. They've given me my life back. They've given me my mum, a son back. They've given me my sister, a brother that she always wanted. And now I can be a father to my daughter that she deserves.
What are they doing in heaven today? The sin, sorrow are all done away. Peace abounds like a river, they say. What are they doing there now? The sun listen deaf to their cries. What are they doing? They're